President Biden's ordering a bipartisan commission to study expanding the Supreme Court. This appears to be step one in trying to add more liberal judges. And joining us now to discuss is Professor at Harvard Law School and author of Guilt by Association, Alan Dershowitz. Also joining us is presidential historian and author of Inside Trump's White House, Doug Reed. Thank you, gentlemen, so much for joining us tonight.
I'd like to get both of your reaction to what President Biden said in regards to the court packing in the past. Let's take a listen.
He had the right to send to the United States Senate and the United States Congress a proposal to pack the court. It was totally within his right to do that. He violated no law. He was legalistically absolutely correct, but it was a bonehead idea. It was a terrible, terrible mistake to make.
I'm not a fan of court packing, but I don't want to get off on that whole issue. I want to keep focused. The president will love nothing better than to fight about whether or not I would, in fact, pack the court or not pack the court, etc. The focus is, why is he doing what he's doing now?
What's going on with Republicans packing the court now? It's not constitutional what they're doing.
Are you willing to tell the American people tonight whether or not you will support either ending the filibuster or packing the court?
Whatever position I take on that, that'll become the issue. The issue is the American people should speak. You should go out and vote.
Doug, your thoughts?
Well, if the news media were fair and they represented both sides of arguments, all of that would really matter. But the metaphor for me is that moment on CNN and Town Hall where President Joe Biden says there was no vaccine when I became president. And the real troubling issue to me is not what the president said. It was the fact that Anderson Cooper, who's the bulldog of 60 Minutes, stood there in silence. Alexander Solzhenitsyn said, when the truth is replaced by silence, that silence is a lie. The Democrats have the media, and it isn't going to be a fair argument. This is all making me very nervous. I heard what the professor said. I hope he's right, but I remember talking heads saying, don't worry, Georgia's going to go Republican. They'll elect 2 senators. This is getting too close for comfort for me.
Yeah, Dick Morris said the same thing. He said this is a major concern that we should be concerned about if this happens. Professor Dershowitz, in addition to researching how to expand the Supreme Court, a group called Demand Justice, led by Chuck Schumer, is urging liberal Justice Stephen Breyer to retire and step down from the Supreme Court. They tweeted, quote, "We need to start the process of confirming a black woman justice now. Sign the petition to tell Justice Breyer, put the country first. Don't risk your legacy to an uncertain political future. Retire now." I want to get your thoughts on that.
Well, I've known Steve Breyer for almost 60 years. We clerked for the same justice. We served on the faculty together at Harvard for a quarter of a century. He's not going to listen to the bluster of political figures. I hope he doesn't resign. I hope he stays on the Supreme Court as long as his health allows him to. He was appointed for a lifetime for good behavior. And as long as he maintains good behavior, and he's done it for a quarter of a century, he should remain on the court. No justice should manipulate their retirement toward political justifications. Look, the Republicans did wrong when they denied President Obama the right to replace Justice Scalia, and they withheld any hearings on the nomination of Merrick Garland. That was politicization of the Supreme Court, and it was completely wrong, and they shouldn't have done it. But you don't fight fire with fire, and Steve Breyer should stay on the Supreme Court as long as his health permits him to. He's a great justice, and Democrats should stop putting pressure on justices to resign. Justices should resign when their health and when their mental acuity requires them to, and not before that.
Yeah, well, even Democratic former Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid says it's a bad idea. Here he is. Here's what he said earlier tonight on CNN. Take a look.
I think we should be very, very careful in doing so. I have no problem with the commission, but I think that the commission is going to come back and disappoint a lot of people, because I think they're going to come back and say we should just kind of leave it alone. I think it would be inappropriate at this time, after that long history we've had in the country, have term limits for judges. I think that we better be very, very careful.
I like the hat right there, and I actually like what he's saying. I didn't like what he did 8 years ago. What's your take on that, Doug?
Well, if Joe Biden wants a white man to resign to make room for a black woman to come to power, he ought to resign and let Kamala Harris become president. That's ridiculous. I think the Supreme Court needs to be left alone. But again, I'm scared. I remember Walsingham and Tim Bevan's movie about Elizabeth I when he told the young queen, be afraid, be very afraid. That's where I am right now.
Yeah. Well, I think we're all certainly afraid at this point. Professor Dershowitz, it's so great to see you. Thank you for being on. Doug Weed, thank you both for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Andrew, Allison.
And Doug Weed, your excellent service in government at the White House and in the private sector.
I think it'll depend a lot on the president. And I went into the Oval Office and Barbara was there. Jared Kushner said to me, and I've seen that all through history, they want cheap labor.
And I mean really behind the scenes, but he is respected by everybody. So he had access to everybody.